trust from Nigerians betrayed us.
Okay, so usually who gets the equipment? The military personnel themselves or the civil servants in the Ministry of Defense?
I never had the privilege of...
Okay, sorry, maybe the right question would be,
yes,
who implements the budget of the Defense Ministry?
The budget of the Defense Ministry itself, you see, the budgets of the Defense Ministry itself is like a cesspool of budgets from all the service chiefs.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you've told me what you want, he has, she has, and I bring it together, and when it comes, I say, okay, you wanted a budget for your teacup, here it is, you wanted a budget for a tie, here it is, and that is it. And once that has been done, you have now, let me say, decomposed the budget. Okay. At that level now, if I was the Chief of Army Staff, I come up with my budget to the Army headquarters and I call my chieftains. Okay, you asked for this, to do this, there you are, you asked like that. And the chieftains will also go back to their domains and call their troops.
Exactly.
It's top down.
Okay. Exactly. So it's not anything hidden if we really want to take it up.
Okay, we've since been joined by Dr. Fasi Yusuf, a communications consultant. Thank you for joining us, sir.
My pleasure.
He also happens to be a lawyer. Dr. Fasi, the soldiers take oaths to defend Nigeria. Now, they are not the ones that made that act. They are not the ones that drew up that law. That it was an act of parliament. Supposedly an act of parliament. Dr. Fasi. Okay. Now, the basic equipment for the soldier is AK-47. Right?
Then the word has gone beyond that.
Okay.
And the word has gone beyond that.
Okay. If the military didn't make the laws that specify the death for cowardice, it's an act of parliament, why should they now be held accountable for saying, hey, I am not afraid, but there's a situation, you've not given me the things I need to handle? And now that the former CDS is speaking up about this, there's a hue and cry everywhere.
Yes, I think one thing that is very clear to us all now is that the current administration, and indeed the current service chiefs, are talking about reviewing the various decisions of the military tribunal. You see, they were court-martialed, and the court-martial is equivalent to the status of a high court. And don't forget that many of them were on appeal. But what they were saying, or what they've been saying, is that they've been kept under subhuman conditions. But with the current revelations now, I mean, with that of the immediate past chief of defense staff and the chief of army, saying that they lacked the wherewithal to prosecute the war and all that. I think that's some revelations. Those are some of the things that we use on appeal to advance the case of the various people, the various military men convicted. But by and large, whatever like a decree, now there are laws of part of the laws of the Federation, and therefore we continue to implement them until the National Assembly can change some of them.
Okay, what do you think about... Let me come in here to quickly say something about what my colleague have just said. If you look at the terms and conditions of the Nigerian Army, when a court-martial is set up, it's a system of trying within a system. Just like any system have their own disciplinary powers. So, before now, if not because of the democratic system which we are running, the way the army is being organized and run, it should not be a thing that should be discussed on the screen of the television or on the papers of the dailies. But because of freedom of information and the man that has begged to join a system has come in now, it's the same man after you told him that this is what you will take to go and operate. He has signed an attestation form to go by land, by sea, and by air. And you put an aircraft that if you embark on the aircraft, it's now telling you that the propeller is not moving. You can see that.
But why would you do that to your own man? Why would you give him an aircraft?
I'm just giving you a typical example.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But why would you do that? Let's use that example.
This problem started, with due respect, when Governor Shetima said the terrorists were more motivated and more equipped by our soldiers. that single statement, as my colleague has said, motivated our soldiers to say, look, okay, even the civilians are aware. That was where the problem started from. But otherwise, if nobody has made that statement, the terms and conditions of activity of the military make it so clear that it is a top-down issue, not bottom-up.
Colonel Shobo,
yes.
The question again will be, the civilians have noticed it. Are you saying that the soldiers shouldn't have talked about the fact that this is our situation?
Yes.
They shouldn't have mentioned it.
If you mention it, continue to use what we have until we are able to adjust to meet with your request. It's not that you just stand up and say you are not going to fight.
Let me ask.
You want the terrorists to take over the territory.
I think it's laughable in this present day. Excuse me.
So we are developing.
Excuse me. Okay. We are developing, it does not mean we should go back to the Stone Age.
Okay.
You see, the freedom of speech is overriding. Yes, there's a chain of command that you can ventilate your grievances and all the rest through some process. That's not to mean that you see a notion and you have to jump into it.
I think we should have a dividing line between liberty and security.
Excuse me.
If you allow people to express their feelings, nobody wants to play to pacify you. You say that terrorists, they are that freedom of speech is not really expressly accepted in the military.
I understand where Colonel Shobo is coming from because I've been there. And I also understand where our learned colleague is coming from because I'm now here. You see, I spoke about generational changes. The army itself doesn't exist outside of our human presence. So the army is a subject of the trends, socio-economic, political, and even security. And it simply needs to, what you call, respond, not react. The days of reactional armies has gone. We look at armies that are responsive. If you react, it means you have to wait for the gun first. And once the shot has been fired, then you react. If you respond, it means you are going to move in sync. In the army, we call it advance in contact with the threat. And as the threat evolves, you are also evolving by responding.
You are adjusting.
Now, what we seem to have today, as I told you, the issue of arms was really quite simple. But then, our army is still much manual than it is mental.
Agreed.
If I was in position then, I would have advised, hey, go to this arsenal, go to the ammo dump, take a sample populace of ammunition and guns. That's where we feed the soldiers from. Then let's look at the ammunition. When were they bought? What's the shelf life? What's the trend?
So it's believed that the last set of equipment that were bought under the administration of President Muhammad Shagari.
Then you are looking at something. Now, if you had a car, like my dad had a Volga, and we had to do a race to Ibadan today, and you were coming in with my dad's Volga, and I was using something that was produced in 2013, for example, I'll probably get to Ibadan, come back to Lagos, and you are not halfway through yet. So yes, what we call adequate over the stretch of these years may now be obsolete. And the litmus test for that is actually the engagements your foot soldiers had, and they are giving you feedback. Feedback in the old school military, if I can call it that, feedback may be seen as 1, disobedience, 2, insubordination, but in today's armies across the world, it's no longer that way, because if you look at the people who drive the Army, Air Force, Police, DSS, they are largely Generation X. Go check Generation X, Google it. And Generation X people have their peculiarities. They are different from the traditionalists and the baby boomer generation. Because the army is what it is, and it is a pyramid, and it's a bit rigid. If you walked up to a general and told him that you wanted to actually have your something on the battlefield where you can ping and pong and tweet, he's going to look at you and say, abomination. But then, the ping, the pong, and the tweet of it is also a way you can exploit. And locally, we could have our own local army ping, tweet, and pong nets, where I don't have to pick a radio. I can just ping something to my commander internally, and he's seen it, where I can actually engage adversaries and find time to even chat than send a radio call and wait. I could actually ping and